Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Boissonneau, through you, Mr. Chair, have you commenced legal action against Mr. Anderson?
I've sought legal advice, Mr. Cooper, to look
So
at
the
all
answer
of
to
my
that
legal
is
options
no.
against
So
him.
let me get this straight. You claim that you are not the Randy in Anderson's text messages. The first report of this Randy being implicated in the $500,000 shakedown of the Gowie Group was all the way back 6 months ago on June 4th of this year. On July 17th, Anderson testified at the Ethics Committee that the only Randy at Global Health Imports was you. That day, you issued a statement in which you said you were, quote, deeply troubled by Anderson's testimony and suggested that he was using your name without your consent. That was 5 months ago. If you truly had no involvement in this shakedown and the operations of Global Health Imports, and Anderson was using your name, unbeknownst to you, you would have sued Mr. Anderson 5 months ago, I would put it to you. You still wouldn't, you've done nothing, is what you've said.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Cooper,
Mr. Drouin?
Just, I'm seeking your advice as to, is Mr. Cooper offering legal advice to Mr. Boissonneau, or is he just pontificating on something? Is he a lawyer?
I am a lawyer.
Thank you. I don't think that was a point of order. I think that was a question. I appreciate it. Mr. Boissonneau, the floor is yours.
Photographic memories?
well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, to Mr. Cooper's question, I have started the process to take legal action against Mr. Anderson now, and I'll be very clear. One of the reasons I stepped away from cabinet was to be able
besides
to
retaining
Mr.
counsel,
Mr. Chair,
besides
do I get my
retaining
time?
counsel, it's my time. I'm reclaiming
Chair?
my time. Besides retaining counsel, have you taken any legal steps whatsoever against Mr. Anderson in the past 5 or 6 months?
Mr. Chair, how many seconds do I have from Mr. Cooper's opening statement?
It's a very simple question. Just
Okay.
answer it.
Okay, hang on. Okay, as I said from the beginning, the time of the answer should be as close as possible to the length of the question. And so I've been giving a bit of leeway here, but I want to keep it as close as possible. So,
It's
So,
a yes
Mr.
or no.
Schmale, to
We'll
Mr.
give you-
Cooper's first, I haven't been able to answer his first question because he interrupted me 3 times.
Okay, why
So
don't
can
we-
I answer his first question?
well, he took the floor
I'm ready
back.
to
so
answer his first
I guess the time is yours. However,
This is
usually you just answer the question you just gave you.
So I'll answer the question. In the recent court case against Mr. Anderson, it is clear that Mr. Anderson has been using my name without consent. I'm not involved in
And my
those
question to
other
you was whether
conversations.
you had commenced a legal action, and you have, through your non-answer, said that you
We are
haven't.
working
And so,
on-
so
we are working
Mr.
on the legal
Boissonneau,
action
it's
right
fine.
now,
Reclaiming my
Mr.
time,
Point of order,
Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, point
Just
of order.
again,
Okay, we have 2 points of order. I don't know who was first, Mr. Drouin or Mr.
Running
Carr.
interference.
no, Mr. Cooper, it's you're running interference. I thought the rule was if there's editorializing on a particular issue, then the witness has the same amount of time to answer the question, but that's not.
There's the preamble and there's the question.
On the same point of order.
Hang on. I got
Well,
Mr.
hold on a
Carr up
second. I'm
next.
not done.
Okay.
I'm not done. But for the respect of interpreters, Mr. Cooper keeps interrupting the witness. And I get that he doesn't want to ask questions. He just wants to editorialize on certain issues and make false claims
You don't
here.
have to give him the
But at the
time
end of the
to
day, Mr.
pontificate.
Boissonneau has offered his time to be here, which is unprecedented, because I'd love to have Andrew Scheer here about his fake
Okay,
insurance claim.
Okay, I think
On the
I think
same
we
point
got
of
that.
order, Chair.
But just
I think we're
let's
good.
be
Let's go to
respectful.
Mr. Carr, then Mr. Genuis. Okay, Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I think Mr. Drouin covered it. I just, for the sake of our interpreters, particularly given that we've got 3 different languages being interpreted here today, I think it's for the benefit of committee that all members involved in discussion are mindful of that. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, Mr. Genuis.
Yeah, just briefly on the point of order. The rules are not equal time between the questioner and the witnesses.
That is correct.
The
I've
rules,
just
the rules
given the
are
circumstances.
that the member controls the time. So that needs to be understood. And secondly, let's be clear that Mr. Boissonneau is not here because he chose to come. He is here because there is a House order requiring him to be here for 2 hours. There's an unprecedented move, House order requiring him to be here. He has to be here for 2 hours, answering 2 hours worth of questions, and these Liberal disruptions are just extending the amount of time that we're going to be here.
Yeah. Is he?
Now, The reason I said that, yes, you are correct, Mr. Generous, that is the rule. The reason I allowed a bit of latitude in terms of the length of time was because, in fact, we do have 3 interpretations going on at the same time. However, I do understand that witnesses do try to stretch things out. So the members do have the ability to take the floor back. So let's go back to Mr. Cooper. I even forget what question you asked, to be honest with you.
Well, Mr. Chair, I put it to Mr. Boissonnault if he had commenced legal action. He did not answer in the affirmative. I then asked Mr. Boissonnault if he had taken any legal steps whatsoever against Mr. Anderson. He changed the subject and didn't answer in the affirmative, and I would put it to him that the reason Mr. Boissonnault hasn't pursued legal action after 5 or 6 months is because the brass tacks of a court proceeding would expose him as the other Randy who violated the Conflict of Interest Act and who had an active involvement in a shady pandemic profiteering PPE company implicated in fraud. Now, Mr. Boissonnault, your credibility as a witness is very much in doubt. You came before the Ethics Committee on June the 4th, and you left the committee with the distinct impression that you had not been in contact with Stephen Anderson when that wasn't the case. Mr. MP Brock put it to you, did you call Mr. Anderson? You said, no. Why would I call Mr. Anderson? I would not. No. You said that, and then after new text messages were revealed connecting Randy in Vancouver while you were in Vancouver, suddenly you changed your story and said that you had actually spoken with Anderson and had a text message exchange with Anderson. If you have nothing to hide, why did you materially leave out that relevant fact if you're not the Randy involved in the shakedown?
So, Mr. Cooper, let's go back to your earlier question. I stepped away from cabinet to deal with these issues, and I have met with lawyers, and we are working on legal action against Mr. Anderson right now. So let's put that on the record. The ethics commissioner, not once but twice,
I
has
asked
indicated
you,
that I'm
Mr.
not the person
Boissonnault, why
that
it is you
referred to
materially
in
Point of order,
omitted
Mr.
that
Chair.
fact. And I would put it to you,
Point
I'm
of
going to
order,
ask you
Mr.
another
Chair.
question, but as
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Carr
point
runs
of order.
interference to protect you because you're a liar.
Mr. Chair, there are
The floor is Mr. Carr's.
There are 3 things here. The first is Mr. Cooper a moment ago referred to Mr. Boissonnault as a fraud. I'm not sure that that's within the scope of standing order provisions. Number 2, he just repeated the word liar, which you've already ruled on today, Mr. Chair.
You got a minute.
And the third thing, Mr. Chair, is that you made a ruling earlier this meeting that it's equal time for questions
Correct,
and
but
answers, regardless of if to Mr. Genius's point, which is fair, regardless of whether or not the standing order provides a provision for that or not, you ruled on that, Mr. Chair. So we would have to come back to that commentary that you made earlier in the meeting. Nonetheless, I would hope, Mr. Chair, that you will advise Mr. Cooper to be mindful of language he's using that you have already ruled to be out of the scope of order here. And quite frankly, really not well placed for parliamentarians. Thank you.
Well,
Okay, Mr. Druin.
Mr. Cooper should withdraw his comment. It is unparliamentary language towards another member of parliament. Withdraw. Otherwise, I'm going to keep point ordering this. Withdraw the comment. Unacceptable.
I'll ask
Cooper, do
another
you care to
question. Then
respond?
Mr. Drulin
Are you
can
responding to the point of order, or are you continuing your line of
continue with
questioning?
my line of questioning.
Okay.
Point of order.
Okay, Mr. Druin
Withdraw
again.
the comment. He should not be allowed to ask questions. This
Mr.
is the
Cooper?
pure rules. Withdraw.
Do you
Withdraw.
withdraw? Your microphone's off.
I continue with my line of questioning.
Point of order,
Mr.
Chair.
Boissonnault,
Okay.
Point of order on the same point of order that's been raised.
Practice Gatos.
It's a very simple thing. All he has to do is withdraw the comment. He knows very well. He's an experienced
Well-
parliamentarian. That is not parliamentary language.
I will withdraw the word lie and restate that he misrepresented to committee that he hadn't spoken with Mr. Anderson
Point of order,
when he
Chair.
did.
Point of order, Chair.
That is
Okay, he
that is a
withdrew.
fact.
He did not exactly withdraw. The word that was used is liar. He should withdraw that
I
word.
did.
He withdrew, and he substituted what it was
I said that
untruths?
he misrepresented to
Misrepresented.
committee that he hadn't spoken with Mr. Anderson at a material time when in fact he did. And
Okay.
Mr.
So you going back to your question? Okay, you
If
have
I-
1
if I-
minute left.
Unless
point
Ms.
of
Liberals
order,
are going to
Mr.
continue
Chair.
to disrupt and run interference
I think
for
we're
him.
good. You have 1 minute.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
There they go again.
Okay, Mr. Henley.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. What I heard withdrawn was the word lie, but what I heard Mr. Cooper state was liar. I think the word that needs to be withdrawn is liar.
I think
Thank you,
we
Mr. Chair.
all, at least I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. Okay, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Boissonneau,
Mr. we have a
Mr.
minute.
Boissonneau, you're still, you're continuing to mislead committee. You did so today, yet again. You said in your opening statement that all of the cloud of scandal and corruption reported in the media occurred after you had been elected in October of 2021. But you know that that isn't true because you were a partner at Global Health Imports in June of 2020, correct?
I was.
And you were not elected in June of 2020.
Correct.
And that is the very time that Global Health Imports submitted an application or a bid on a federal contract purporting to be wholly Indigenous owned. So why did you say that all of the allegations occurred after you had left Global Health Imports or as a partner because you were elected when in fact you knew that that wasn't true? One of the very material issues before this committee, the fact that you have falsely represented yourself or your company has falsely represented it as being Indigenous, occurred while you were not only a 50% owner, but one of the two partners at the company. Why did you mislead committee this morning on that?
Mr. Cooper, nothing could be further from the truth. And as I've stated very clearly, I was not involved in any federal work whatsoever in any of my businesses. And I confirmed that with the ethics commissioner. And so Mr. Anderson
Those were your words
solely
before
Point of
committee.
order,
Why did
Mr.
you
Chair.
mislead committee?
Mr. Chair, point of
Why did
order.
you mislead committee?
Point of order,
Your
Mr.
time
Chair.
is up. Your time is up. Mr. Carr, point of order, and then we
Yeah,
go to the Liberals.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Cooper very clearly heard you say on 3 occasions his time was up, yet he took to the microphone again. I think that that is a clear attempt to disrespect your authority in the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I appreciate that. Okay. I appreciate
With
the
you guys in the
cooperation of all
chamber, every-
members here. We're going to the Liberals now for 5 minutes, and Ms.